Thinking raising fund for your company is just a fancy deck and prepare for that 3-minute speech? Think again. Today we'll peel back the curtain and show you what are the current challenges and strategies that can make or break your fundraising effort.
Welcome to Provider's Edge, the podcast that helps healthcare entrepreneurs and innovators break down barriers and control their business, life, and future with valuable action steps. With me, your host, Sabrina Runbeck, a recovered clinician and a business deal catalyst. Let's rewrite the rules and create a positive social impact while increasing your profitability.
And innovation accelerates in healthcare sector. Definitely securing funding is one of the drivers to help you push things much faster in your progress. And the company's ability to innovate doesn't truly depend on funding, but how you use the money that you're able to raise and connect to the true supporters to keep going. Now, we have found that many people were able to successfully raise different amount of funding for their early stage pre-seed with the Angels Family Fund. But as they transition into the higher level of Series A and beyond, the challenges has been talking to many different investing groups, but not truly the right ones who will invest and write the type of check that you want, or they're not in the right niche to even begin with. So today we wanted to talk about the fundraising dilemmas and burning cash versus investor skepticism that we have to overcome. Now, number one challenge is the short runway, because if the investor believes the money that they give you does not last much of runway, of course, they will less likely to invest in your company. And companies raising funds quickly can help in the short term. But if you don't have long-term strategy, that means that you are not sustainable. Therefore, you're not able to get funding because they don't see that future vision of yours. Also, the confidence in how this investor has to have in you is that how are you presenting with your entire management system, with your strategy to make sure the implementation is solid and effective. Again, that also not just about having advisors on your board with many amazing credentials, but exactly what that relationship looks like to work well together as you move forward. A lot of that is the result of company focusing on investors' growth to consistently scramble and not get funding. Not only is wasting a lot of your time talking to all of them, but also put a damper in the progress on how you however, many founders have issue about having the truly sound strategy for investor to say that they have a great way to not just burn their cash and have a long runway. And that's why investors don't have enough confidence. And therefore, these investors are not going, even they want to write a check and seeing the potential, but they don't have the confidence. So then the founders get into the perpetual cycle of fundraising instead of what do they need to create the best strategy to proven the value, proven that their company can be sustainable, can go into the next however many months and years that they can use this funding to get to a better state. And then we have the challenge of investor matchmaking, which means before you go speaking to investor companies, angels, private equities, VCs, sometimes they're simply just not going to write checks in your specific funding level. What that means is most people speak to everybody because they don't know. And therefore, these hundreds of phone calls, meetings you had doesn't plan out to anything and creates actually negativity and feeling discouraged in this round. And also is that when you are asking for funding in the pre-C and C level, of course, is very different from when you're going for funding in the Series A, B, and D beyond level. How you're preparing is very crucial. And it's not just a deck. And also the deck need to be on brand, cohesive, and doesn't look like a third grader put together. And the story that you are telling behind it need to be very to the point to get somewhere where people wanted to ask you more questions about what you're doing and not just all the information you're feeding to them and getting them lost in your story. So standing out from a sea of pitches is very important. Right? So number one mistake is not having a good cohesive deck. Number two is not having the right information on your deck. And number three is when you get to your pitch, you are actually not giving the key points that is in the right format. They wanted to listen and ask more information. And you don't want to feel like they got drowned by the information and they are no longer paying attention to you. Now, let's understand what truly is the fundraising landscape from pre-seed to Series E. So pre-seed funding usually is a check of 10 to 250,000. And the purpose is really just getting you off the ground, having the protocol, minimum viable product, services, so you can launch, right? Because if we don't have a minimum core product, you can't get anywhere. And then the investor are typical family, friends, and angels. And there are some VC firms that will invest in the pre-seed if you're well prepared. And so companies really is that early stage ideation phase. Now, seed funding is the next level, a 50,000 to 2 million check. Now we're talking about building your product in a better way and having an initial marketing phase to get your word out, to demonstrate that you have the value and people are there to care for this product. And therefore, you can still go for the angels, early stage VCs, and sometimes even incubator accelerators. Some of them do come with a check. Others are promising with specific ways that perhaps you can get funding. Just don't get tricked into there's only a certain way to build business. They have courses, whatnot, but there has to be specific output for some of the accelerators. And then they do run in cohorts. So you need to pay attention to the time of the year when they accept a certain program, whether it's like a weekend intensive versus so many months of engagement. Some of them ask you to be with them at the specific location versus others are more virtual. Companies are in that stage, again, working on your protocol. They have early stage users, you have some data. So as you start having user database, a key thing there is to have a great CRM, customer relationship manager that can track the data. Because if you don't know how to track the data, show your KPI, that's a huge mistake of people could not tell what you did, how you can even improve. And therefore, you can't predict your runway and less likely to get funding. Now, Series A, we're start getting into the check size of $2 million to even $15 million. And these are companies that are really ready to scale. And scalability is all about duplicatable process and system. So if you haven't written down your processes and you're ready for Series A, you need to start doing that. And it cannot just be, oh, we have these built. Okay, but if product is built, you understand how to do that. How many other people in your company can immediately learn the system and do it? Also, they're not just individual files in a drive that people have to scan and figure out themselves. That is not a duplicatable system again. So Series A is about you are at perhaps you are early stage revenue, you have a database of people, you're ready to say, how do I expand? Whether it's dive deeper into the client base, the one channel you already have, or thinking about, hey, we needed to go for other channels of marketing, sales, and strategies to really get yourself out there. And it could be a lot of people gone for one big partnership, right? B2B partnership. Now you're thinking about what other partnership you can create, or you've been in B2C for so long. Now you're ready for the next stage of B2B or even B2B2C. So with Series A, we definitely are looking into venture capital and private equity. Unless you have enough revenue, then we don't have to worry about investors. Where you have the revenue to keep flow, we want to scale up quickly, then we just take on a small portion of the investing firm. Series B is all about you having a proven market strategy and business model. And now it's about expansion. And the VCs are more going to look for the late stage VC firms. And you, therefore, when you are preparing, must show that you have a significant market traction already, which means what I mentioned earlier about having a great CRM system with the tracking, with the workflow, and showing that you have automation set up is a must. Now, Series C, we start getting into check sizes of $20 million to even hundreds plus $1 million. And it's really now is all about determining the right market to have perhaps even possible acquisition of other similar resources, smaller company that should be collaborated under your umbrella, a big business. So now we're looking into late stage VCs, private equities, and even some of the hedge funds, perhaps. And now we're thinking about what is the significant market you need to be dominating, and even possibly pre-IPO. Now, once we get down to Series D, E, and beyond, that is various size and partnership, because now we're looking into the late stage acquisition, expansion, pre-IPO, runway. So now you're thinking about how do you have to demonstrate the market leading solution is you, and prepare for your IPO or major liquidation event. What we call that the capital readiness scorecard. So it's a way for your company to stand out beyond just the typical sending the deck and then let's meet, or sending a deck with a little short video, right? Being creative is a great way to approach these VCs, private equity, but how are you prepared to show up has to be very different. And therefore, the traditional pitch deck is not just going to be enough. You have to have additional information show up. So one thing that we do at Postpoint Pass is giving you that capital readiness scorecard, where we actually look at all 12 area of your business infrastructure and looking into how your performance is based on the standard of revenue, fundraising, and things in the similar arena. So for investors, it's really quickly cut down their own time to have to spend with you to get to the right question before you can answer. You actually done what? Did the work for them. So you're helping you to help them to help you. And the areas that we pay attention is actually breaking down to 5 different type of capital. So we definitely have your intellectual capital, because at the end of the day, you have to be seen as a unicorn, not just your solutions, your potential in what you can do for the market to fill in that gap. And how you are actually doing it, that is unique and other people cannot compare. Number 2 is your financial capital, which means how are you current financial status of the company is healthy. You are not just spending money left and right and burning cash. You can predictable using the money in certain ways with a staffing, reinvesting in yourself to get to the longer, more predictable financial model. And then we go into what people do care about, but having a tough time assessing is your human capital. Who are the people from the leadership team. At the end of the day, investors are working with your leadership, with you as the founder, the CEO, the COO, and how you guys are supporting each other in good times when things are doing well as in stressful situation. Because we can see that most of companies are still in the state of chaos when you don't have everything infrastructure all lined up. So you can be the very reactive chaos of, oh, things come up, I have to do this. I can only see things within the next week or month. Versus managed chaos, even though they have so much going on, they understand, oh, I have to do this in order for that things to happen. That can give me a long-term result. And so even you have a big long-term vision, but if your vision is years down the road and you cannot really quite conceptualizing how to break that down into months of now, into next year, then it's going to be very difficult for you to actually get to the reality of what needs to be done. So then you go into perpetual of reactive mode. So therefore, leadership's human capital is very crucial. And then we also think about the culture capital of everybody in your community, in your company, from the decision maker to the managers to the implementers. How are you able to trickle information, allowing people to stay self-motivated and not just stay in your little box of, I'm comfortable here, I'm only here. And how then also tap into your social capital, because even you have a good system, but if you guys don't know how to expand your community, reach out to more people, either within the same marketing channel you already developed, or think about into the additional area, then you're not scalable, right? So we look at, again, intellectual capital, financial capital, human capital, culture capital, and social capital in order to determine if you're at the right place. Now, again, if you're in that pre-C level, your score is not going to be as strong as an A, and that's okay because you're not asking to say we're already up there, because if you are more established, you should go for the next level of funding, right? So it's the reality check of where you are and showing I am prepared to get to the next level. That's what the capital readiness scorecard will help you. All right, now let's get you out there, talking to the right people, spotlight your value. Inspired by my recent TED Talk at TEDx Buckhead Ave, we're launching a series of interviews with investors as well as companies that has already started or raised fund in Series A and beyond. So we will put you on the spotlight. We love connecting with all type of investors, VC funds, private equities, to get you to connect it to the right people that will become your unicorn, as well as spotlight the companies, our amazing founders, so we can have the engagement where these private equities will see you're demonstrating your value out and be able to expand your social capital. Now go to postpointpass.com/funding-her-future for all the investor friends that are in our network and those who we have not yet met. We wanted to really value your gift of bringing the right company to fruition and really changing the world. As well as for founders who like to be spotlighted, go to healthtechgrowth.io for us to get you on our podcast so we can really hear your story, hear the mission and things behind it, and talk about the different type of capital you have prepared and what do you hoping to achieve in the next year. And it also helps you as you're sharing the story to understand how to put that capital readiness scorecard together if we're not the one who's doing it for you. All right, let's ramping up the 10 key strategies to be successful while you're fundraising. Number one is develop a solid business model, clear, concise, and have all the elements, and then you are able to actually show it's duplicatable. Number 2 is focus on efficient cash management, demonstrating investors that you can be safe and not burn cash. You understand how to have a long runway. Number 3, targeting the right investors. Do your research first. Make sure that you have looked into similar portfolio they had. Perhaps they also done interview before, and such as our Funding Her Future series. If they are already there where they have done other interviews, look through these things so you can get more personable and not just, oh, they're an investor, we're going to talk to everyone. So you can be more intentional with your approach and more likely for them to say yes to you, to have a meaningful conversation. Number 4 is crafting a compelling narrative. It's not just speaking, it's what to say in what manner that it's engaging, and practice what you say and not just, oh, I wrote the script, someone also did this, I'm just going to go for it. So preparedness is very important. And for us, if the portfolio companies that we work with, especially in the fundraising stage or they're ready for expand, we not only write your script, but also get you connected to acting and vocal coaches on how do you become more confident in front of other people, larger, small stage when you're doing your pitch competition, as well as that individual level. And some people might say, Sabrina, we're great once we get to the individual level. That's amazing. Does that mean every single one-on-one conversation you had that converted into a client or investment? If so, we don't need to do anything else, right? But if it's not there yet, you just feel that was good, we still want you to be even better. So then your meeting and conversion rate are higher. And number 5 is leveraging your capital readiness scorecard to truly demonstrate that you have the right documentation, the right information, the right way. And then people can give this great glance. And that's a supported document that's on top of the high value pitch deck that we create for you. Then you're truly standing out and not just a company that's been sending hundreds of emails that these investors are getting per day. And number 6 is building strong strategic partnership, people and the network behind the right connections. And it's not just doing simple introduction, but intentional introduction, because these partners that you have, if they don't understand your value, means they should be able to quickly look at your deck, your information, and also understand you to have a better way to advocate on your behalf. Number 7 is show traction and validation. That means within the scorecard, we already built these supportive documents. Now is the next step of showing how are your data supporting what you claim or predicting the future of your growth. And number 8 is addressing the regulatory compliance. What are the things that you have to consider, whether it is policy, local, statewide versus national, and if you're breaking into international markets, how are they different from each country? Are you actually had done the work of talking to health administrations from different countries to get your point across? All the different work that you have already done and researched to back yourself up. And then number 9, and highlight your team's expertise. Because at the end of the day, we know as founders, leaders, you cannot do it all by yourself. We also talk about there's a 3 different type of founders. Number 1 is the visionary who saw the gap, really think about it, and then created some type of solution. And number 2 is a connector, people who are good at high level strategy and getting the right things together, but not necessarily know how to get down to the detail that everyone understands. Therefore, you need a third chair in there, which is a implementer. Now, we cannot all just have the visionary and implementer without the strategist and the who is a connector, because sometimes your implementers get into the weeds too much and they start losing the vision and the capability of expansion. Now, last but not least is preparing for your due diligence. get your necessary documents together. As I mentioned, start writing down processes, like having all the things. If they start asking you for this and you still have to scramble to get there, then it is a tough choice. And that's why when we step into due diligence, when we get you to streamline, to present yourself as someone who's really organized, and your company from high level to implementer doer level are all organized, having a good infrastructure, that's the trust and confidence you can give to these investors. And the process of getting that check is much faster. Running a company is not a small task, and fundraising for your company can be really challenging and yet rewarding, because that means people are trusting to put money behind you, your ideas, your people, to get to the true world-changing idea, the mission that you believe so much. Now is on how do you strategically present yourself. So today we talk about the challenges. Typically is the investors don't trust you because you haven't demonstrated a great way that you can have a long runway once you have the money, or you're just not seen as well prepared as other people. And how do you stand out is by leveraging the capital readiness scorecard, which Postpoint Pass can help you to do. And go to postpointpass.com/chat to have a conversation to see how we can support you in any way. And we also talk about different funding stages based on check sizes and where your company is in various different level. And then we dived a little bit deeper into the 10 different ways to get you well prepared for the next round minimum viable. So for anybody who wanted to have a behind the curtain scene of how do we do things, you can go to postpointpass.com/playbook. Look into our playbook. What's the strategy that we use to get you a clear roadmap so you know exactly how to speak and demonstrate your value with the investors, and what's our way of getting you the funding that you need. And at the end of the day, it's really not just about funding. It's about having the right strategy, the infrastructure to actually do what? Get to your goals, right? Funding is simply a tool that should not be all your effort. Your effort truly is connected to the right organization with the right client to actually deliver what you want to do to solve that major problem in the healthcare space. So again, for anybody who wanted to learn about our process, go to postpointpass.com/playbook to review it. Or if you want to simply have a chat with us to see if you're at the right place for us to help you and talk about what our application process looks like, or even if you're in the right place to enter our annual award system where we are putting you in front of our trusted investor partners, then have a chat with us. Go to postpointpass.com/chat.
Thank you for tuning in to Provider's Edge podcast. We hope you enjoy our latest episode and found the insights and tips helpful. We'd love to hear your feedback on the show and learn what topics you'd like us to cover in the future. So please take a moment to leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform and let us know what you think. Your feedback is essential to help us improve the show and provide you with the content you need to take your healthcare business to the next level. Thank you for your support, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.